Only one man has ever successfully infiltrated the CIA. Not by breaking in, by being welcomed inside. His name was Karl Koecher, a Czech defector the agency believed had escaped communism. They gave him a new life, a US passport, and a desk inside Langley. But he hadn't escaped the KGB. He was the KGB. From within the CIA, Koecher leaked classified operations, exposed American agents across Eastern Europe, and handed Moscow the blueprints of how the agency itself worked. Its codes, its methods, its weaknesses. Washington thought it was protecting itself from foreign spies. Until one day, they realized the foreign spy was already sitting inside. In 1965, a young Czech academic named Karl Koecher arrived in the United States with his wife, Hanna. They claimed to have escaped the grip of communism, defectors fleeing Soviet control. To the West, they were a victory, proof that freedom was stronger than fear. Karl was exactly the kind of man America wanted, intelligent, articulate, anti-Soviet, and eager to help. He spoke 6 languages, studied philosophy, and charmed everyone he met. Reporters called him the ideal defector. Washington saw him as a success story, a living trophy of the Cold War. But behind the smiles and handshakes, the story wasn't what it seemed. Karl hadn't escaped communism at all. His defection was part of a long game, designed years earlier by the KGB. His mission wasn't to run from Moscow, it was to get closer to Washington. In America, Karl and Hanna Koecher began to live a life that looked like a dream. They rented apartments in Manhattan, drove expensive cars, and moved through high society circles with ease. Karl lectured at universities, discussed philosophy over wine, and made friends in all the right places. Hanna was glamorous, confident, the perfect partner in their new world of glitter and freedom. To everyone around them, they were fascinating. A pair of exiles who had escaped tyranny and reinvented themselves in the West. They hosted parties filled with academics, journalists, even CIA officers who saw them as proof that America had won the battle of ideals. Their openness was their armor. They were too visible, too extravagant to be spies. And that was exactly the point. Every laugh, every dinner, every flirtation, all of it fed the illusion. While the CIA celebrated their success story, Karl was quietly preparing to step inside the very agency that trusted him. By the early 1970s, Karl Koecher had done the impossible. He'd earned a desk inside the CIA. His job seemed routine, translating cables and field reports from Eastern Europe. But those papers carried the pulse of American intelligence, the names, locations, and movements of agents operating behind the Iron Curtain. Night after night, Karl copied what he read and slipped it to his KGB handlers through coded notes and quiet meetings. The results were devastating. In Prague, Warsaw, Budapest, entire networks went dark. Agents vanished, informants were arrested, and missions collapsed before they began. From a single desk in Langley, Karl Koecher had blinded the CIA across half of Europe. And still, no one suspected him. He was courteous, brilliant, reliable. The model employee, and the KGB's greatest victory. Inside Langley, Karl wasn't just translating words. He was studying patterns. How the CIA labeled, coded, and moved information. Which files mattered, which signals meant danger. Then he gave that blueprint to Moscow. The KGB no longer needed to break every code. They could read the rhythm of the agency itself. They learned which messages carried real intelligence, which ones were traps, and how to tell when the CIA was preparing an operation. Suddenly, Soviet counterintelligence was one step ahead. Missions failed before they began. Karl hadn't just stolen secrets. He'd exposed the system that protected them. By the early 1980s, something was wrong. CIA missions kept failing. Agents vanished. Somewhere inside, there was a leak. For years, Karl Koecher had lived among them, calm, polite, invisible. But small cracks began to show. His stories didn't match. His lifestyle didn't fit. The FBI watched, and in 1984, They struck. Karl and Hanna were arrested, accused of spying for the KGB from inside the CIA. He didn't panic. He smiled. Before the trial, Moscow made its move. 1986. The Glienicke Bridge in Berlin. The East and West trade prisoners. Among them, Karl Koecher. He walked back to Prague a free man, greeted as a hero. In Washington, humiliation. The CIA had been infiltrated by the very thing it was built to stop. And it never saw it coming. Koecher lived quietly after that, never revealing the full damage he caused. To this day, he remains the only man to ever infiltrate the CIA for the enemy.